So Ansita, I'm going live right now. Just the process is
Yeah,
going.
you can. You can. Wait.
So rest all are muted. Okay.
Yes, so we are live now. Hello and welcome viewers. Have you admitted, sir, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, so hello and welcome to the new YouTube series that we have started from Asian Eye Hospital. And this is the first lecture. The series is called Optometry 360 Degrees. So we are going to cover a lot of professionals all around India and internationally. And we are starting off with a very popular speaker. As you all know, Mr. Nilesh Thite, no introduction. He has been a very popular figure in optometry throughout, I could say, from the past 10, a decade or so, because of his educational initiatives. Before that, I would just like to touch upon his professional background. He finished his master's in optometry from Bharati Vidyapeeth, and he is also a fellow of American Academy of Optometry and a fellow of British Contact Lens Association. He was also the former in charge of Bharati Vidyapeeth School of Optometry and has had a corporate stint with Bausch Lomb as a professional services manager and continues to offer his consultancy to Bausch Lomb. He has been very popular for his various educational initiatives, one of which majorly is the Masterclass Optometry, which is very popular in its approach and its pan India. I think in from an institute perspective, this is the only non-institute educational program that has garnered so much popularity. And I would like to congratulate him for, I think we've completed 3 sessions of masterclass program, and last year we had a collaborative session under masterclass called Shaping Managers, where we had given career guidance seminar for budding optometrists and freshers. So, Mr. Nilesh Thite, welcome to this seminar. You have been a mentor to me also, and you have touched so many students across India that I've lost count of them, and so many programs like OSP, Let's Revolutionize. Mr. Nilesh Thite has been instrumental in its approach and how it has been handled. He has always given free mentorship to all students of optometry throughout the years. And so I like to congratulate you, sir, for that. And I like to welcome you to this seminar.
Thank you, Husain. I think that was such a lovely introduction. And whenever I see you guys, do so well, I feel so proud from inside. This is all the other things you were mentioning. I don't think they are as much big achievement as seeing you guys do so well is. Okay. And I genuinely mean it. And as you said, one of the programs we collaborated and we worked together. And I think it was a very, very well organized program. And thanks to all the youngsters like you. So we had Hussein and 3 more guys who literally managed the entire show, and it was such a well appreciated program, and all the students who attended that enjoyed it. In fact, they're waiting for the next one, and we are not able to find time and the bandwidth to do that. But I think, Hussein, we should take it up, right, once this is done. Yeah. So once again, thank you for introducing me, and it
So
gives
talking
me.
about the topic that we are going to discuss today, it's going to be a slightly different topic because the reason I approached Mr. Nilesh Thite is because he's a great person to work with. And I was just thinking that in optometry, people have so much of technical expertise, and they have degrees and they are working in big institutes, but somehow some of them are not so pleasant to work with. And that got me thinking that do we have courses, or do we touch upon the soft skills that optometrists should have, with dealing with colleagues, dealing with students, dealing with
Absolutely.
trainees, and also co-management, with ophthalmologists. So I found his personality very interesting because though he has achieved so much, he is a very approachable person. And kudos to his soft skills and his personality that he has reached where he is today. And I think we should take a pause and acknowledge the fact that he is one of the persons who has really excelled when it comes to the his soft skills, and also in terms of his relationship with different professionals across the country. So we are going to touch upon that, and we are going to talk a bit about the contactless industry this lecture is going to be mainly for freshers and optometry students and also professionals for them to upgrade themselves. He will also touch upon the industry perspective and what kind of credentials are required in the industry for contact lens. You can see a manager or a professional services manager. Yeah.
Once again, thanks so much, Hussein. I think it makes me really feel good about myself when you say all these lovely things. I'm going to start sharing my screen. So if there are any more attendees in the waiting room, you may have to do the honors.
Yeah, yeah.
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 So let me start sharing my screen. And guys, this is not a typical lecture when one person is giving a theoretical lecture. This is more about interactive um, stuff. This is something which you would use in your practice day-to-day life as well. So feel free to comment on the chat box, and we'll take as many comments and questions as possible as
Yeah.
we move along. Right? Shall I get started, Hussein, with your permission?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Okay, thanks. So this is a beautiful world map, right? And because I have spent most of my professional time in contact lenses, I'll speak a little bit more specific to contact lenses, and we'll try to generalize it later to overall optometry, right? But think about contact lenses, right? And most of us as optometrists believe that it's a great corrective vision correction option. If we do believe, if you don't believe that contact lens is a great corrective option, then you can put it in the chat saying, no, I don't think contact lens is a good option. And we will take that as well. But most of us do believe, right? Now, if we think that all of us believe contact lens is a good option to correct refractive error, why do we see what I'm going to show you now? Now, this is one figure which is kind of embarrassing. Imagine the world global population is around 7.6 billion. This is about a couple of years old graph, but still holds pretty much true. Out of those, around 70% of those would require vision correction, including presbyopia. And if you look at 5.3 billion people who require vision correction, only 175 million contact lens wearers in the world. This is in terms of crores, because in India, we don't use million and billion, we use lakhs and crore. It is 17.5 crore contact lens wearers across the globe, which is hardly 3.3% of the people who require vision correction. Now, this is a little sad if I look at it. And if we believe that contact lenses are good, why is it not happening? This is one question which pops up in my mind. Now, some of you will say, sir, ये global है, हमें global ज्ञान नहीं चाहिए. We want to know a little bit more about what is happening in India. And there you go. We have some information from the Indian contact lens industry as well. But before that, let's understand थोड़ा सा इंडिया के बारे में. And we all know we are unity in diversity, right? We have diverse cultures, we have diverse background, geographical location. So India is kind of a world within itself. Okay, so talking about optometry, we are still our regulation is still in process. Some organizations are working really hard towards that. Some individuals are working hard towards that. So as of now, the optometry and contact lens practice is not as standardized as we would have liked it to. Talking about education, we have different educational levels as well. We have diploma in optometry, a bachelor's program in optometry, M-Optom, and up to PhD as well. So there's no consistency as of now in the educational level. And coming to contact lens practice, अगर आप देखोगे, तो the most of the contact lens practice is mainly in top 8 to 10 cities of India, the 8 to 10 top cities or metro cities in India. When you go down to the tier B, tier C cities, and so on, the number of patients wearing contact lenses decreases. Now, the next graph I'm going to show you is even more startling. Now, this is something about how many people are wearing contact lenses in India. Okay, हमारा population approximately we know it's around 1.32 billion. So 132 crore के आसपास. Out of that, if you look at how many people live in urban area, it's around 422 million, which is 42 crores. Okay. उसमें से forget about urban, but if you look at the big cities that have 5 lakh plus population, and if you look at the population between 12 to 55 years of age, that will come to around 11 crores. Now, out of those 11 crores, how many would have vision problems? It will be around 2.8 to um, 2.8 to 3 crores. Okay. So I am not talking about the population of India here. I am talking about the number of people who require vision correction, who have access to contact lenses, who live in cities where contact lenses are available. Even then, the number of contact lens wearers is only 16 lakh, up to 16 lakh people. Now this is where it is embarrassing. हम इतनी बात करते हैं contact lenses के बारे में. We have so many educators in contact lenses. We have so many fellows of IACL in India. So we are often asked this question, all these things you are doing, but why do you not have more number of contact lens users? To be honest, we don't have a clear cut answer. We have certain reasons for that, but no one strong answer. So the penetration of contact lens is hardly around 6% within the target group of people, not compared to the overall population. अगर 6% of total population होता तो बहुत ज्यादा होता. It would have been almost 7-8 crores, लेकिन वो उतना नहीं है. Okay, it's hardly 1.6 million or around 16 lakh people. This is a sad story as far as I am concerned, who's representing a contact lens industry here. Okay. Now, uh, 2020 was a year which was sought after. हम लोग बहुत वेट कर रहे थे कि 2020 में शायद फ्लाइंग कार्स आएंगी, शायद बहुत ज्यादा चेंजेस हो जाएंगे. विजन 2020, we were talking so much about it, but God had some other plans and we are facing what we are facing, right? But even if you keep that aside, we thought this is a very critical juncture because um, things are changing at this point of time. Contact lens practice hasn't moved much in last few years. Online business is coexisting with your offline business or your clinic business. It's around 8% or 10% of the total contact lens sales now. And we all talk about the exciting opportunities, just myopia control. We know myopia is growing, so we need to do something about that to control the myopia. Number of presbyopes are growing, so we want to do something to correct that population. And specialty lenses, always a very hot topic among the optometrists. So these are all the exciting opportunities. But when you talk to practitioners, they have a mixed response. Some of them are not very for contact lenses, while the other people are very excited about the future of contact lens practice. So a couple of years ago, we ran a survey within the Indian practitioners, and we asked them some questions. Ki, what do you think are the big opportunities coming up in next 2 to 5 years for contact lenses? And the top two opportunities that they thought were daily disposable contact lenses for occasional wear and cosmetic contact lenses. I was actually surprised with the second one, cosmetic contact lenses, because generally as optometrists, you don't consider cosmetic lenses as an opportunity to increase your contact lens you know penetration. You think it's more like a cosmetic device and it's okay for selling, but as a practitioner, you are more concerned about the myopia control lenses, the specialty lenses, the multifocals, and so on. And Hussein and I were discussing, and we found somehow people are still not considering multifocal lenses as a great opportunity, while we believe that the number of presbyopes is really growing, and that could be an area to tap, because not many presbyopes want to wear glasses suddenly when they enter their 40s. So this is a great opportunity which is somehow being missed or overlooked by most of the practitioners. You agree to that, Hussein?
Yeah, also I would take a step back and look at the daily disposable graph.
Mm-hmm.
So even I feel that we are not proactive in dispensing even the normal soft contact lenses. In people who have normal refractive errors, it is daily disposable for occasional wear is a great option for them.
It is.
They don't have to remove it or maintain the hygiene. They have to use it occasionally. So that could be a very good starting point for a new customer or a new
New
patient.
patient, yeah. Yep. And that's what they also agree and believe, but still it's not brought in practice. It's like, we all know that we should not spend too much time on smartphones, but everyone does that. So we are preaching, but we are not practicing. And you brought in an interesting point, whether we are talking to patients about contact lenses or not. And I found a couple of decades old study where in the UK they found out that contact lenses are discussed only in around 47% of consultations. And the worst thing is, only 26% of the time it is started by the optometrist or the practitioner. That means we are not proactive, we are reactive. When someone asks us, can I wear contact lenses? Then we talk about the contact lenses, not otherwise. And that's very sad. I've spent a lot of time on proactive recommendation in last couple of years. And we have found that if practitioners start talking about contact lenses, the patients agree, they accept that they like wearing contact lenses, and they come back and start wearing contact lenses as well, right?
The same rule applies for the new presbyope. As you said, the new
Absolutely.
presbyope will we need to identify, where the shortcomings are based on his lifestyle, based on his profession, and that could be a great
So
starting point for multifocals also.
it is, and there has been a poster presented recently where uh, they did not talk about contact lenses to the presbyopes. They just gave a contact lens trial
Hmm.
without talking about the benefits too much, just to select their spectacle frames, right? And actually, many of them came back and purchased contact lenses also. So it
Wow.
works. We know that it works scientifically. Also, we know.
Yeah.
So there is evidence. Okay. Now, where is the gap when it comes to, contact lens penetration and growth? I think we talk a lot about myopia and glaucoma as optometrists. Myopia being short-sightedness, and glaucoma being, eventually giving you the tunnel vision and reducing your panorama. But we are probably making the same mistake. Are we missing the woods for the trees? Are we looking at the picture, the horizon as it is, or are we looking through a small tube? And I'll just come to what I mean by that. Okay. I feel we are looking at very few options, and we are not completely using our potential as practitioners and optometrists. This is my personal view is, and some of you would agree, some of you would disagree. You're most welcome. But this is my personal view, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. When you talk about the graduating optometrists, and you try to ask them questions about hardcore optometry knowledge, and you test their skills, they're reasonably well. And I'm just saying, giving a generic statement, not particular to one institute. Okay. uh, but when it comes to being smart, when it comes to how would you talk to your patient about this, that is where they struggle. And in fact, we identified this long back. If you know, Yashwant and I started Masterclass Optometry
Right.
exactly for this purpose, because we saw there is a gap between the graduating optometrist and what is required for an optometrist to practice, and
Right.
they're not practice ready. And I don't think it is specific to optometry. There are many other professions where this is the problem. The graduating students are not practice ready, right? They're
Mhm.
not employable at times. And I think this is where we are lacking. So their theory is good. I'll give you a simple example. If you ask them progressive addition lenses, spectacles, okay, they will tell you everything, the soft design, the hard design, the advanced soft design, all those things they would know. Now you ask them a question, okay, you have a patient sitting in front of you, explain these to your patients. That's where they get stuck. They will tell the patients also the same thing: soft design, hard design, advanced soft design. While the patients wouldn't understand this. They want to be told in a layman's language what are the exact benefits of these lenses to them, and how these lenses can enhance their lifestyle. This is the missing link, and I think this is what we need to look at. Okay.
Right.
uh, Coming to contact lens specific again, sorry for going back to contact lenses, but that's what I've spent most time in, and I'm a little bit biased towards that. But when you talk about contact lenses as a graduating optom or a third year, fourth year optom level, you start thinking about scleral lenses, orthokeratology lenses, keratoconus fits, and so on. All these courses are always full. You run any scleral lens demonstration, and you will see every student going into that. While I understand there is a definite need for that, I understand there are patients who need to be fitted by these lenses. Absolutely, yes. And the quality of life you would improve with these lenses, wonderful. So there is definitely a role of these lenses, no question about that. But when we look at the advanced lenses, are we missing on the basic lenses completely? And I think yes, up to an extent, because you don't become an expert unless you start from the basic and go step by step. So you cannot fit an orthokeratology lens if you do not understand the basic spherical RGP contact lens fitting. And this is what we started asking people. Some people came and said, sir, we want to learn orthokeratology lenses. Our next question was, do you know RGP contact lens fitting? And they were not very sure. This is where the problem is. You cannot start with advanced things unless your basics are strong. You will always have to go back to your basics whenever you are stuck. Now, recently, it's been almost 7-8 years. We conducted a survey to understand what are the contact lens fit pattern across India, and probably you would believe that over 97% were soft contact lenses, and only three were GP lenses. GP, all GP, okay. It might have changed a little bit over the years, but I still feel around 92 to 95% would be your soft contact lenses. And still, we do not give any attention to soft contact lenses. We think that we know how to fit lenses. Probably we do, but do we know how to talk to our patients about these lenses? That's where the question mark is. And this is my complaint complaint to all the students, that yes, you need to learn advanced contact lens fitting, but before that, get your basics sorted. Learn how to talk to your patients about all the kind of contact lenses, including the soft contact lens.
Yeah.
Okay, so time to widen the horizon. And in the next 3 slides, I'm going to take you through what all you can do as an optometrist uh, from the industry point of view. And Hussein, feel free to add your comments whenever you want.
Before you start that, I would just like to share a small, a real example and experience that I observed when I was a trainee. Now, there was a friend of mine who had actually enrolled for a contact lens fellowship. Now, when you say fellowship, the environment changes. It's a clinical setup.
It is.
When you are practicing specialty contact lenses, the patients come there for a reason, a specific reason. And the only solution is specialty contact lenses.
Absolutely.
It could be a disease, a corneal disease, a corneal ectasia, or something to do with the aberrations of the eye. And those lenses will actually help them in a very big way. But when this friend of mine, he decided, he went through the whole learning curve, the learning arc, and he decided that he wants to join the industry. Now, when he joined the industry, he had to start from scratch, because he had not learned any sort of soft skills for, soft lenses. He did not have any, networking, you can say. There was no networking, and he had to learn so many new soft skills. But then you say that he has a contact lens fellowship. But then what's the use of that? In the real
Absolutely.
world, in the industry, you need a whole new different, because it's a different animal altogether.
Absolutely. So if you want to survive in different domains, in different roles, you need to have your basics sorted. You can't do it otherwise. I'll give you a current example. We talk about T20 specialist, right? So all those big hitting batsmen who just hit the ball out of the park. Now, they will do well in that scenario, in those 3 or 4 overs when they just have to go and hit the ball. Imagine if the conditions are different, if the wicket is different, if there is different swing, and if they have to play a test match, they may not be, or they're likely to be unsuccessful because they don't have their basics sorted. They don't have an experience on playing on different pitches and so on, right? So this is what we are trying to sensitize all of you, that specialty practice is great, but do not ignore and overlook the basics of contact lenses, uh, even the soft basic spherical soft, toric soft, multifocal soft, spherical RGP, and then you go on to the next level. And along with the clinical aspect, learn how to talk to your patients about these different modalities, the different products that you're going to offer to them. Okay, let's move. Now, and I want to thank Khemraj also, because I've taken some of this information from his slides. In fact, from the same program we were talking about. So thank you, Khemraj. He's not here right now, but I would acknowledge his contribution. So what can an optometrist do outside the clinical practice? This is a question. So I've mentioned them on the slides, and I'll quickly take you through each of them. Professional services, it's something which typically comes to you because many industries would require someone who has a strong technical background. Why do they require them? Okay, they need people They need the practitioners to be trained how to fit their products, how to troubleshoot their products. They need their own team to be trained in, the features and benefits of their product and the technical details of the product. They need the professional people to train their sales team, because the sales team goes and talk to the practitioners, right? So to conduct training programs around their products as well as overall contact lenses as a category, they need professional services. That's what typically a professional services person would do. Of course, academia, we all know. If you don't want go into hardcore clinical practice, academia is another field. You can become a lecturer, professor, whatever. You can become a full-time educator. At the same time, you can be a part-time educator as well. You can have your own clinic as an externship center where the institutes can send their students for training. So that is academia. Sales and marketing are part of the corporate again. Sales where you're actually involved in selling. But if you have a good technical knowledge, and on top of that, if you have a great knowledge of business, you can be a deadly combination. It's like best of both worlds because you understand the technical background also. Similar with marketing. Research, yes, you can get into research. You can have a research program. You can be an independent researcher who the companies, the industry can contact for conducting their research. So there are people who do that. You can do an administrative role. You can have, you can get involved in organizations that are more into administration, and I'll come back to this in the next slide also. You can be a consultant on your own. For example, this is what I am doing now. I'm not a full-time employee of any industry, but I do consultancy with the industry. You can be a freelance trainer if you have established yourself in your in your communication skills, in your training skills. There are industry who would approach you to train their people, right? You can be a freelance writer. You can be involved in writing reports, getting into social media activities, and so on. So these are all the opportunities that you have outside the clinical domain within the optometry. Now, a little bit more about this. What within the corporate you can do? Yes, professional services I just touched upon, but even there you have multiple opportunities. You have contact lens division, you have Bosch and Lombs and Johnson and Johnsons and Alcons and Cooper Visions of the world who require optometrists for training and establishing their product superiority, etc. Medically, something called as medical messaging, where you talk to the eye care practitioners why your product is superior based on research, okay, based on evidence. So that's quite an interesting thing to do. You have spectacle lens divisions. You have the Essilors, the Zeisses, the Seikos of the world who would require similar stuff in spectacle division. And you also have retail chains actually. So the retail chains, if they have multiple outlets, there are optometrists and other sales staff who need to be trained in overall optometry knowledge as well as dispensing, right? So this is professional services, again into different domains. You could be into surgical division as well. I know very good optometrists who are actually clinical application specialists, so who work with surgical industry. So their job is to meet various ophthalmologists, and they actually go and even demonstrate how to use the machines. They're trained in actually, using the machines, and they use go tie and trained ophthalmologists in certain surgeries. So it's quite an interesting thing to do. So there are optometrists who can do that as well. There are lens advisors, again, within spectacle companies. Sometimes there's a little bit of sales required along with the technical aspect of that. And those who are open to that, this is a wonderful field. Somehow I've seen many optometrists, not just optometrists actually, many people, whenever a word comes, sales, they're not very happy with that word. They feel, hey, I'm not there to sell. Trust me, we are all selling. We are all selling. Okay. Right now I'm selling to you. What am I selling? I'm selling my information. I am selling my concepts to you, right? And you are you're my customer right now. Hussein is also selling with me the idea of this particular, um, I would say, webinar. So we are all selling all the time, and we are all buying all the time. So let's not be hell bent on not selling anything. Okay, then you could work with other organizations, and I was talking about the admin role. This is where the admin role comes in. The coordinator of programs, companies or organizations like the IVI, the OCI, they need people who can do the administrative work, um, program coordinator. So they don't execute the program themselves, but they coordinate and they help the execution of certain programs. There are other professions where you can do marketing, sales, and even market research. So one example was GFK. I don't think it is functioning in India right now, but something like that, it might come back, or something similar to that might come back. So these are various roles you can take up
Yeah.
after completing your optometry and after having some more experience in various fields. Yeah, Hussein, you were saying something?
Add that this is a very great slide even for today's the times that we are living in. There are companies who are looking out for optometrists, and the thing I've observed with young optometrists is that they do shy away from taking additional training or additional degrees.
Hmm.
Be it in business administration, be it in hospital management, be it in sales. I don't know. They do not want to. It's like a nutshell. I mean, they are in their technical world, but in order to reach out to the customer, in order to reach out to your colleagues, you actually have to spend time in that environment, which an MBA will give you. A master's in hospital
Yeah.
administration will give you. And there are examples. There are optometrists who have done these courses just to improve their profile, and
Yes.
then that helps you in your interviews, in the way you approach the company, because once you decide that this is what you have to do, you should go all out. It's not that I see that people who have finished fellowships, who have finished masters, they want to dive into a certain domain.
Yeah.
Now suppose they want to dive into the industry domain. They are, first of all, they're not aware of what kind of industry positions are open for optometrists or which would favor them, and they end up applying for the wrong position. Now that also, suppose they know that I'm going to apply for this position, but the credentials. Now I would like you to spend some time on what credentials are necessary. We could take an example, and then we would, right from the interview stage, how you can change your CV, and then how you can land that job, and actually how to identify.
Awesome. So I think some of the answers are there in the next slide. And if anything is missing, we'll cover that anyway. So I'll start with the skill set required, because I think the credentials are on paper, while the skill set is actually what you possess, right? Which is required for that particular domain, or for that particular profile. So the first and the foremost is communication skills. And I cannot emphasize this enough, how important communication is. And it's not just for a corporate professional. Even for a clinician it is important, even for a teacher it is important, even for a friend it is important, even for a spouse it is important, right? So anything which requires human interaction, I think communication skill is the topmost skill required for that, right? Then public speaking, because most of them would require you to be able to speak in front of people, right? Right now that's what I'm doing, though virtually, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. Many corporate roles actually require you speaking on podium. So your public speaking ability is important, and trust me, it doesn't come overnight. You have to learn it slowly. Some people are just natural, they have it, but most of us have to develop public speaking skill. Sometimes we fail and then we learn from our mistakes, and we go on improving our public speaking skills. Subject knowledge. Now many people think, oh, in corporate, why do I need subject knowledge? Trust me, that is the base. Without having good knowledge of your subject, you cannot survive. Why are people hiring optometrist for training? Because you have the subject knowledge, and you don't have to be taught that. The only thing you need to be taught is maybe it's a bit of communication skills and public speaking, provided your basic knowledge is good, right? So always remember, you will have to have good subject knowledge. If you're joining a contact lens industry and you don't know much about contact lens basics, trust me, you will not be hired. Trust me, you will not be. Because in 2 or 3 months they can teach you, or they can groom you, they can continue grooming you on other skills, but they will not teach you optometry and contact lenses. They expect you to know that. Okay. So please do not underestimate knowledge. If you are, if you want to stand in front of another practitioner confidently, you have to have good knowledge. Then multitasking. Sometimes you have to do different things at the given time. So you need to understand prioritizing your work, which work to do right now, which work to do later, which is more important, which is urgent. All these things you need to know. So you have to learn a little bit of multitasking, and sometimes you learn it on the job. That's okay. Hussein was talking about something like how do I approach people? And that's where I think your interpersonal skills, your networking is so, so important. And fortunately, I'm already seeing really good networking happening among the optometry community. For example, today's students are not shy of approaching any one of us. Hussein was saying that I'm generally approachable. I would also say the students are also bold enough to approach. So it's both ways, right? So networking is extremely important because many a times you come to know about various opportunities through networking. Like we have certain optometric groups. Just be a part of a constructive group. I don't like the groups where you're just cribbing.
Mm.
So you need to know what you want to be a part of. You want to be a part of complaint, or you want to be a part of solution. Decide that. Okay. I would love to be a part of a solution. So join such group where healthy things are discussed, opportunities are discussed. Feel free to connect to whoever you are comfortable with and start networking. First of all, among people of your age and your band, and then people who are senior to you and so on. Eventually you will have to work in a team. ऐसा कोई नहीं है जो अकेला ही काम करेगा जिंदगी भर. You have to work in a team, so you have to learn teamwork. You have to look at the larger picture where I want to do something for the team for overall good and not just my personal growth, right? The other things always add to your CV, and something which we were talking about. If you have a little bit of research background in the first place, for example, your final year research project, anyway, you have to do it. So take it seriously. Anyway, you're going to spend around 9 months to 1 year. So why not do a good job? Why not pick a project which you really think will be relevant to your future? And why not do a really stunning job and try to get it published in international journal? See, even if you don't do that, you're going to spend 9 months to 1 year. So I would say do it very seriously. At least that gives you a background as to um, for the industry also to understand your strength. I remember one person, and I don't quote names, but I remember distinctly one person who was always interested in joining retail. So his project was the patients and the type of patients that visit a standalone practice versus a retail chain, and profiling of that, and what is their attitude, etc., etc. He completed that project, and trust me, once he graduated, he was actually hired by a retail chain, and he made a career path in that.
Wow.
So that's how you can think a little bit ahead of time in the beginning of your final year, because that's the time you start understanding your, where your inclination is. Computers, of course, today you can't do without them. So try to learn at least the basic computers. If you know a little bit of programming, wonderful. If you don't know that, it's still okay, but you should definitely know the basic, the PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. So I would emphasize Excel here. पावर पॉइंट सबको आता है क्योंकि वो एज अ स्टूडेंट यू आर गिविंग प्रेजेंटेशन. वर्ड इज वर्ड, इट्स अ गिवन. इफ यू नो एक्सेल, you can play with numbers, formulae, statistics a lot. So learn Excel. That will be a great additional skill for you. And then, of course, how quickly you adapt to certain situations. I think Darwin has said, right, it's not the most strongest species that will survive, but those that are most adaptable. So how quickly you adapt to your role, how quickly you learn new things is extremely important. I think, Hussein, I've answered some of your questions in that.
Yeah.
Now, anything else which is missing that we can discuss now?
That was a great point, networking. I mean, at the grassroots level, what we see is that interns come into either a hospital setup or a retail setup when we are talking about internship. They are basically working around the skills in that in that domain only. Now, when you come as an employee or as a member of an organization, or even if you have your own practice, or you are a member of your hospital, or working with a hospital, there are so many other professionals around you. I remember that now suppose someone is supplying IOLs to your hospital
Hmm.
and he is supplying it through a certain company. He is your primary contact.
Yes.
Can actually connect with them. And he actually one of our optometrists, he actually got a job as an application manager through the OT system. Now that is
Absolutely.
where your networking starts. Also, if you are in an optical setup, the lens advisor, he is your primary contact. As an
Yes.
intern, I mean, you should be more interactive because you get so much of free time. You don't have sales. You don't have the responsibility of sales. You don't have to keep your stock. You have to just observe patients and network. I mean that's a great point.
And just to add, just to build upon that, Hussein, networking is underrated. People don't understand the value of that. But to be a good networker, you need to understand something called as theory of reciprocation. Okay. What it means is you need to give something in order to receive something back. Many people are good at just asking. Now,
Yeah,
if you just keep asking, you may not be helped by most people. But if you help someone, that person will remember and that person will help you back eventually, most of the time. So remember reciprocity, right? Reciprocation. When you do something good for someone, that person remembers and that person will remember it back when the time comes. So be a little bit selfless, and that's where the teamwork also comes. And that's why I put it in the same bracket, that when you do things for others that help others, they remember and they come back to you when there is something good for you, or if you need any help, they will be there to help you.
absolutely.
Yeah. And I like your point, Hussein, where networking starts everywhere. Where the place where you work, every colleague of yours, you need to try to maintain good relation, at least good professional relation. And eventually that works as a networking tool for you. Right. Are we good so far?
Yeah, great.
Okay, awesome. So Hussein, I think that is all I had about uh, I had to talk through the slides. If
Yeah.
there are any questions or anything, any chat, anything in the chat or any point you want to discuss, I'm open.
Yeah, so I'm just checking the chat. So to all our viewers, you can just drop in a message if you have any, burning question you want to ask Mr. Nilesh Thite. He's here for you to answer your questions. Um, by the time, one question that I wanted to touch upon is that when we talk about a company, so a fresher or an intern, he wants to approach a company. So where does he start?
How does a fresher approach a company,
Yeah,
right?
for a job basically.
Okay, so there are multiple avenues for a intern to do that. First of all, I would say during the internship itself, you would have made some contacts. If you have not made a single contact, I think you're missing something and you're lagging behind, right? So that's during your internship, you would have made some contacts somewhere. That's first thing. Secondly, your institute.
Mm.
Okay, nowadays many institutes are approached by the potential employers and the industry. They approach institutes throughout, and not just at the end of the fourth year. They would have come before that to talk about their products, probably to talk about some programs that they are running. Sometimes your institute has some event going on where you would see the representative of the industry. So try talking to them during that. Nobody will ever tell you, sorry, I don't want to talk to you. You
Yeah.
just have to approach them and just have a word with them. Hello sir, how are you doing? I liked this particular thing, I'm interested in that, how do I go about it in future, and so on. And they will give you their email ID and you can always contact them. That's the second thing. Third thing is various optometric groups that you have. Some of them might have some of these people actually there. And fourth thing is, if you have absolutely nothing, you can always go to the website and try to get their contacts and write to them straight away.
Mm.
Trust me, more people will respond to you than you suspect, because people also like to respond to young optometrists who are enthusiastic and proactive. So there
Mm.
are multiple channels, and if you don't get anything, contact me. Okay, I'll
Great.
try my best to put you through someone
Yeah.
whom you want to talk to.
So there is a question. can a fresh graduate start CL practice?
There is no reason why a fresh graduate cannot start a CL practice. It depends on how good your clinical skills are. It depends on how good your communication skills are. If you're confident, for example, in your final year, you were exposed to, a good number of contact lens patients and you fitted various types of contact lenses. And now you're confident that you can handle most of them. See, you will never be confident that you can handle all 100% contact lens patients. That's going to take years, right?
Yeah.
But if you know you're fairly good to handle most of your at least regular contact lens patients, you can think of starting. Otherwise, get yourself more exposure in that field. You can join a fellowship, you can work with some hospitals, or you can work with some optometrists who have good clinical contact lens practice, learn from them. And the moment you think you're good to start, you can go back and start.
Yeah, great. There's another question. So basically, the student is asking how to start a conversation with a patient for contact lenses.
Awesome. I just love you for asking this question because this is something which I've been spending a lot of time in last few years.
Thank you,
And,
Babita Rajput, for answering.
and I call this as proactive recommendation. In fact, I have actually developed a tool to do that. I can email it to you if you're
Yeah,
if you want.
great.
So this is something called as how do you proactively talk about contact lenses to your patient, right? So first thing is when you're doing your prop history, taking history of the patient, that's where you ask the patient what kind of, if the patient has refractive error, ask a patient, have you worn contact lenses before? Just this question, right? Then we are very good in asking patients occupation, but along with the occupation also ask what are the various hobbies that you have, okay, or what do you do in free time. That gives you a little bit of idea about patient's lifestyle. Then you stop that discussion there and do your examination, eye examination. Once you know the refractive error of the patient and you're counseling the patient about that, that's the time you pick your previous thread and then you start asking a few more questions to your patient. For example, so how, what are the activities you do? So if I ask this question to Hussein, he says I am doing hospital, etc., etc. And if he's a spectacle wearer, I would ask, okay, so has there been any time where you felt, no, I didn't want to wear glasses this time?
Mask.
Yeah. So Hussein will say, yeah, when I wear a mask, there's a lot of fogging going on.
Yeah.
That's the time you talk about contact lenses to your patient. Once you know there is a need of the contact lens, that's the time you start giving the benefit of the contact lenses. For
Yeah.
example, then I would say, you know what, Hussein, this problem is becoming common now because of mask, the glasses fog. So I can get rid of your problem with a very simple method. I can
Mm.
give you contact lenses. They will get rid of this problem. And on top of that, you will get phenomenal natural look and natural vision. And you can do your activities much better than how you're doing now. Now Hussein will be slightly more interested. And he may ask me, yeah, sir, I can, yeah, I want it. But are they painful? Uh, are they, do they cause infections and so on? That's okay. Let him ask these questions. I get at least time to answer his questions. So I'm at least getting his interest and his focus on contact lenses so that I can discuss with them. And eventually I'll say, you know why, what, Hussein, just if you have just few minutes, why don't I give you a free contact lens trial and you'll get a feel of it yourself. Okay.
Right.
So let's do that now. That's how you talk about contact lenses.
Yeah. In fact, I've observed that when you approach to a patient, they ask a lot of questions. And even if they don't take the trial, if they say that, okay, I don't have time, maybe next time, they do think about it when they go home. And you do get a feedback. You
Yep.
do get a call back. And then you can take the conversation forward and he can actually take a contact lens appointment from you.
Absolutely. So just to summarize, always ask a couple of more questions to understand the needs of the patient, and then think where your the benefits of contact lenses can help the patient perform better, and that's your key.
Okay. So I think we have hit the 45-minute mark.
Awesome.
And I don't know, just time has just flown by with you,
Yeah,
sir.
even I didn't
As
realize it.
always,
45 minutes is a long time. It didn't
yes,
feel like 45 minutes.
absolutely, it didn't feel like, I mean, the
Yeah.
way there are so many, hidden teaching that you get from the way you present your slides, and they seem so seamless. I mean, we don't even feel that we were, stuck on some slide, or the conversation is so free flowing. I mean, that is an art, and I haven't seen many presenters who have this kind of a skill set. I mean, for students and freshers, for me, actually, this is a really good thing to learn.
Thank you, Hussein.
Yeah,
I thoroughly enjoyed this interaction, and I want to wish all the very best for your future endeavors and the future webinars in this series as well. And we'll keep in touch anyway.
yeah. And I would like to thank you and for coming over, taking out the time. I'm sure you have a busy schedule. I see your screenshots on YouTube and the different lectures that you're giving around the world. And it's great that you have taken out the time and interacted with us on such a platform. And I think we've had a good number of participants on Zoom as well as on YouTube. And it was a lovely session. We are getting, actually, thank you, messages in the chat for from students as well as practitioners. And this lecture will also be there on YouTube for
Okay.
you, for reference. For those who have missed out on the Zoom session, they can always go on the AsianEye YouTube page and get hold of this session. And once again, so this I thank entered Ms. Ansita, who has been a great technical support for handling, if there is any crash or something like that, because this is actually the first session that we had
Awesome.
with you in a Zoom meeting. The last time we had it with Ms. Lakshmi Shinde and Mr. Usman Mani, but that was only a live session. But
Okay.
we actually had a Zoom session, and it was great.
Awesome. I'm happy it worked on well, and thank you to the support team as well, the technical support team as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Hussein is managing very well, sir. He is managing everything very well.
Yeah, I know Hussein is an all-rounder. In fact,
All rounder.
I was
Actually,
talking about certain competencies and skill sets required. He has all of them.
yeah, yeah.
Ansita has been great support. I mean, she has, whenever I've got jitters, she's always been there with us. And I hope she's there with us in the next lecture also, Ansita.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. If you want to get in
Great
touch with
Diwali.
me, you can get in touch on my Facebook profile. Some of you will have WhatsApp number. Others, there is my email ID there on the slide. Feel free to contact me anytime. I'll try my best to revert as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Wish everyone a happy Diwali.
Happy
Enjoy
Diwali.
your holidays. Look at some of these lectures that are there on YouTube. I mean, there are so many lectures, and so much is going on. I mean, use the holidays to get information, and in lockdown, I mean, people are not even working full time. So
Yeah,
it's a great time to be in. In fact.
absolutely.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care.